A very left-wing socialist friend of mine from years ago said, the trouble with you, he's speaking to me, is you're against human fairness. You're against being fair. And I said, go to a maternity ward. Go to a maternity ward, and one's born without an arm or without an eye. Others are born hale and hearty. Some are intelligent or will never have a moment's disease in their lives. Others are crippled from the very beginning, and he talked to me about fairness. And he said, maybe it's not like it should be, but we must strive to make it so. And I say, well, why don't you just accept the plenitude of that which is created? He said, no, that's too passive. We must work on it to change it, to make it better. Now, most people in their hearts in this society believe that making things more equal makes them better. I don't. I believe making them more unequal makes them better, which means you're monstrous in contemporary terms. But I believe, because the greater the space between people, the greater the prospect of transcendence, and the greater the prospect of overleaping the present, means you can actually not evolve physically but mentally and spiritually into something else. If there's nothing above you, there's nothing to aspire to. There's just endless stuff beneath you. But I'm an elitist. No contemporary, even right-wing conservative politician will admit that their party actually stands for inequality. Even in capitalism, which has endless inequalities of outcome, doesn't it? That's why you have two big classes. Of course you believe in inequality, that the Majors and the Camerons and the Haids of this world, the Duncan Smiths of this other world, they talk about liberty, and they talk about freedom, and they talk about choice to schools, choice of race, choice of gender, choice where where you go to buy stuff, and so on. Choice. But, if you choose one option, you deny another. If you radically choose one thing, you just privilege another variant. All life, even at the moment of small decisions, teems with the bias towards inequality. Discrimination. I believe in discrimination. Discrimination is a moral good and a moral law. It's an aristocratic spirituality. Of course you discriminate. You discriminate over who's your enemy and who's your friend. You don't treat people all as the same, except in some universal nimidom, which only exists in the minds of people who've liked human nature to be different from what it is. People become more right-wing as they get older, on the whole. Yeah. Even within leftist systems, people actually do get more metaphysically conservative as they get older. Why is that? Because death approaches, reality approaches. Yeah. They can't live with these deluded, nonsensical views about human life, which is based on inequality and glory and difference. History's been made by a small group, acting on behalf of and in the name of the groups from which they themselves derive their energy and purpose. Marx is almost false on almost every area of life. That men and women are interchangeable, false. That the family is an enemy construction of man when it's the basis of human dignity in all groups. That economic activity between human beings is always a form of oppression, when in actual fact almost everybody at one level or other gets something out of it, otherwise it couldn't subsist in the first place. That man is nicer than he is when human nature is dualist. Human beings are kind and nasty. They're avaricious, but they have a capacity for self-sacrifice. They're endlessly cowardly and lying, but they also have a penchant for courage and glory. That's what we are. The great religions actually always known what we are. They shift utopianism and the desire we could be different from what we are to another world. But the leftist pseudo-religions of modernity have brought it down to this level and tried to counter-propositionally achieve it through violence and political struggle. And the reason that it's got bloodier and bloodier until the end they become sickened of it themselves.